As I said, I understand this evening, General Holder is going to talk to you some and going to provide some more details about our effort to provide civil legal aid to those who truly need it, connecting workers with attorneys to protect themselves from unsafe working conditions, ensure they get paid for overtime, preventing vet centers with legal and legal aid society, partnering, I should say, with legal aid society, so veterans know where they can go to access to health and education, benefits that they're entitled to, or to protect themselves from consumer fraud. My son is Attorney General. A year in Iraq, came back, and that's one of the things that he finds was most in need. When he was over there in Iraq for a year, people would come to him and talk about what was happening at home in terms of foreclosures, in terms of bad loans that were these Shylocks who took advantage of these women and men while overseas. Providing foreclosure mediation and counseling strategy for lawyers and housing counselors, working on behalf of millions of folks who, as I said, through no fault of their own, were underwater in their mortgage and facing disclosure. But he's going to expand on that and about the breadth of our commitment. But we know, the point is, we know the need is still great in spite of all the great work you do. And you're essential to filling that need. We just celebrated, for example, the 20th anniversary of the Violence Against Women Act. And as a consequence, victims have more access to transitional housing, healthcare providers, and screening patients for domestic violence. They've been trained to do that. There's more counseling for children who witness this rawest form of violence that exists, violence against their mothers. Shelters and rape crisis centers have gotten more resources. Special victims units have higher rates of convictions. We've expanded protections for undocumented immigrant women, expanded protections for LGBT Americans and Native Americans. And domestic violence rates have dropped 64% in the last 20 years. But one thing has become clear to us, and it became clear early on, that victims of domestic violence need legal representation for a whole range of reasons that were not covered through the criminal justice system. From child custody to marriage dissolution to protective orders to maintaining their homes, etc. And as a consequence, a number of nonprofits, thank God, have focused their attention on providing these kinds of legal services to women who are victimized. My daughter-in-law, really my daughter Kathleen, is on the board here in Washington, D.C. of a group of lawyers that provides pro bono work. They've actually, I think, have close to 1,000 lawyers for domestic abuse victims. And they raise money from the private sector to fund this. That's how important legal representation is in these cases and many other nonprofits. But still, nonetheless, the critical need for alternative funding system through the Violence Against Women Act is there. So we established a grant program through the law that helps provide legal representation for domestic violence survivors and their families. In the last 3 years alone, the grant program has awarded $23 million to legal services corporations. Today, nearly 60 of those organizations across the country are helping victims of domestic violence get protective orders, confront housing discrimination, keep custody of their children. But all of you who do it every day know there's a heck of a